Andrea, great to see you again. I got to ask you right off the top, what is that behind you, those guitars? I love this setup.
These are my children. These are my babies. Yeah, this is my little corner, my recording studio. I have a small space because I live in Toronto, so things are unaffordable these days. But I have my Gretsch, I have my Dan Electro baritone guitar, which is my go-to, and then my Gibson acoustic, which I write most of my songs on.
Fantastic. Love that. And I love the fact that what we're going to be talking about too. But what a salute to Canadian music, to Canadian women, women in music. This is going to be a great event. And thank goodness it's happening in Toronto. So I have to go drive out anywhere, especially with this crazy weather. What
Yeah.
is happening March 7th, I do believe, at the Great Hall?
Yes, well, it's going to be our second annual Our Music Festival, which is a festival I started last year. Thanks. So it takes a lot of work and a lot of community support, but it's a festival that celebrates and highlights female and gender diverse artists only. So, I mean, we wanted to create a space, a true space where these artists can be uplifted and where they are the headliners on the bill. I mean, we're still like facing this gender disparity issue in our industry. I myself, being a female artist, I've been around for about 20 years now, and I've been so lucky to play some of the bigger festivals across this country and internationally, but you're still one of the few on the bill. If you're getting, especially if you're getting those larger slots playing to more people, right? And how can we cultivate a future where us artists are having that continuum, planting those seeds to build a larger fan base if we're not being given those opportunities. So I thought, enough complaining about it. I might as well do something myself with my friends and the help of my friends. So last year we kicked it off. It was incredible. And I know that this year is going to be just as magical.
I want to get your thoughts. Why do we still have this problem? You'd think after all these years. I feel like in a lot of ways, and I'm going to say it, especially what's going on in the US,
Oh,
I feel like we're going backwards.
I actually do feel like we're going backwards. I mean, there are these slight changes being made, but they're mostly being talked about as if, oh, look, we're making a change. We're evolving. And I actually just see that as a lot of talk.
Yeah.
Um, we women and trans artists, all together, let's clump us together in one group. We make up more than 50% of the musical artist population in this country. So therefore, we should be represented on those festival bills, on those concert series bills, at least 50% wise. And we're not. We're just not. We're not seeing that. So, and I think, it starts with events and organizations and things like this that really want to push that envelope. And, it's not like I don't not like men. I love men. I play with male musicians all the time. Some of my favorite producers on my past records have been men, but they have had their careers cultivated in a certain way, even probably since they were young children. And so the initiative with this festival is not only to choose people that I love, women and trans artists that I love, non-binary artists that I love, that I want to see on the bill, because I do, I crave hearing these voices. And, if I'm lucky enough, I'll buy a festival pass for $150 for a folk fest or a music fest during the summer, and I'll maybe see one or two of them. So this is a night where they're all going to be under one roof. And being an educator myself, actually, there's a really special thing happening where we're also involved with Honey Jam. Ebony
I
Road
was
Honey.
going to bring that up. I was going to bring it up. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, just like as an umbrella to support one another. I mean, Ebony is a trailblazer and
Yeah.
I love her so much. She's just so fierce and has been, this is their 30th anniversary. But funny enough, I also teach school on the side, to pay the bills and whatnot. And I love educating teenagers and working with them in arts and dance and music and stuff like that. And one of my dance students last year, Princess Caideo, she blew us away. She was an amazing dancer, but when she got up on stage at the talent show, I was like, girl, you need a career in music like this. So I tried to open some doors for her. She ended up auditioning for Honey Jam. She got in. So this year, after going to see the concert last summer, I have offered two tweener slots to two of the youth emerging artists. So they're gonna get to play a song. So Kiza, who's my student, my ex-student Princess, she's gonna get the opportunity to sing one of her originals, as well as Earth to Tiffany, who blew me away. I love their vibe. So it's gonna be really great to plant those seeds because next year, if we get some money, I would love to move this festival to May where there's not so much going on and it's not so cold and we want to get lots of people out. And I'd love to do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday full weekend event where there's youth mentorship programs during the afternoons, songwriting circles, really get as many artists involved as possible and be able to pay them what they're worth. And this is the thing that's lacking too, right?
Amen. Amen to that. Okay, so you've talked about two amazing artists, but the question that's been hitting me since the beginning of this,
Yeah.
how do you choose so many talented people out there to be on this stage? Because there's only a certain amount of slots allowed.
Yes, and because I'm an artist myself, now there's a huge learning curve coming, and I'm realizing that after 20 years of submitting to festivals and stuff, the no's, the rejections are not actually always personal. Like they're
Yeah.
not, there's so much talent. There's so many voices that need to be heard that deserve to be heard. So many that there's just not room for all of us on one night. So the last 2 years, let's start with last year, for example. I had some of my greatest friends from, Mimi Obansewin, Tanika Charles, Amanda Rayum, who runs Ishko Day Records, and the Indigenous Music Summit. We had Sky Wallace, we had Melissa McClellan of Whitehorse, we had Caroline Brooks of the Good Lovelies, Madison Violet, Brenly was up there, Yarrow, who was an artist that I had been on a bill with that a lot of that community, that folk community, let's say, hadn't heard before, and she's become like everyone's favorite artist. We had Tanya Joy, who also runs Springtide Music Festival. So these are our collaborators, dear friends who I've been working so closely with over the last handful of years that actually last year their support was the reason that this festival got started. Like I couldn't have done it without their help. So they graciously offered, their music, their life, their stories, and helped get this thing off of its feet. So they are the inaugural artists that I will always, big up. Like they're all coming, as many that are in town March 7th are going to be coming to support the festival as well. Um, this year, and you heard me mention like that folk community. So the purpose of this festival is not to be a folk festival. And I kind of entered into the industry that way, mostly because I will say, I couldn't play an instrument very well. I was mostly a singer, and I was like, I could play a GCD. I could write a couple of folk songs, and I love folk music, and I love singer-songwriters, the depth that those concerts provide. But I grew up as a dancer and I was a hip hop dancer. I was like a tap dancer. So my musical influences came from a young age, gospel music, jazz music, hip hop, R&B, funk, soul, classical for ballet dancing. So like I have such a wide range and I like to dance to music. I like to tap my feet. I like to cry. And I know that lots of other people want that full on experience. So this is not a folk music festival. This is a music festival where we are supporting and celebrating all types of genres. And I wanted this year, especially, to set that bar and to be reflective of that. So we have like R Flex, a trans femme artist who mixes electronic and R&B music. We have CJ Wiley, a non-binary artist who's headlining with their band, their full band, who it's like almost like grunge, folk, pop. It's really it brings me back to the 90s when music was still my favorite, like so vibrant. Kenny Starr, who's one of my best girlfriends, we did a collaboration song together years ago. Kenny, I mean, is an icon. She's been around for, I don't know, 30 years or more. And she was on the original Lilith Fair, the Sarah McLachlan Lilith Fair tour in
Wow.
97. Yeah. So she's coming all the way from Haida Gwaii and collaborating with Chris Dirksen, who is an Indigenous cellist who I grew up like in my early folk festival days, sleeping in my van, living in my van in like the Yukon and Haida Gwaii and whatnot. I used to play this Northern BC festival called Artswells Festival. And I remember meeting Chris like in my early days, and she's going to blow everybody away. She's been playing with orchestras, across North America. And I think I'm trying to remember where she just had her debut, but she's just doing some wildly amazing things. So I know that those two artists are going to collaborate near the end of the night together before CJ Wiley hits the stage. We have a Peruvian jazz artist, Irene Torres, who I've known for years. I'm Italian. I also sing in Italian. I really appreciate not only the Latin influences, but the multicultural influences in music because I feel like, part of your voice is your culture, is your upbringing, is your tradition where you come from. And I love when artists get to interweave their mother tongue into the music that they're sharing. And I just like it's transcendent, right? Like you don't need to speak the language to understand. You feel the vibrations. And so I really wanted to have, and I would love to have more world music artists on the stage. Who else? Sarah McDougall, who's one of my dearest friends. She produced my 2 records ago, Quarantine Dream. Not only like she's, multiple nominated and winner of Western Canadian Music Awards. And she's one of my favorite voices and songwriters. Her songs, her melodies, her productions are just so vibrant and amazing. They really get to me. So she was supposed to play last year, but she couldn't make it. She was over in Sweden. So she's Swedish born. But she's also an incredible female engineer and producer. And, she is a trailblazer on that technical side of music where women are still fighting for, a seat in the house kind of thing, right? I know I'm missing so many. Oh, Lala Noel, Kyla Charter, who sings with Ace Sanabi and, has lent her voice to so many incredible artists. Her solo stuff is just magical. She's just like this mystic and she works with a lot of loop pedals and stuff. And I just know, gosh, who am I missing? Samaya. Samaya's our youngest artist on the bill. She's from Six Nations and she calls herself like the new age Mohawk artist. And the thing that's great with her is she's so versatile. So she can do a stripped down acoustic set that's really, really soulful. She has a really, really powerful voice. But then also she has this sort of like electronic dance set that incorporates dancers and whatnot. So yeah, I'm just overjoyed. Plus our 2 Honey Jam artists,
Yep.
and we have some guests coming up to say a few words. Some female and non-binary sort of trendsetters or people in our community who are trying to make a difference, whether they're running song camps, whether they're running their own organizations. Women in Music Canada has been supportive. They're doing a conference that same week, and they were gracious enough to put Kinney on their conference bill. So Kinney's going to be doing some songwriters in the rounds and stuff like that. And yeah, I could talk for hours about this. I'd rather people come out and hear the music, get the experience, get the full-on experience. It's going to be a powerful night, and it starts pretty early, so we need you to get there. 6:30 doors, 7:30 sharp show because we have such a jam-packed evening that we want to make sure everybody gets some time to shine on stage.
Two questions. One, do you think that as this event evolves over the years, do you think there might be an award ceremony in this?
I don't know. I'm gonna think about that because I will tell you, Rudy, I'm the award thing.
Hmm.
Yes, it's important. I do find that often, especially in our industry, this is going to be a criticism. People play it safe.
Yeah,
So the same people are winning awards, right? I
that's
want this
true.
I want this festival to open doors, not only to showcase and highlight these icons who have been doing it for years and years and years, but I want the young emerging artists to be able to see themselves on those stages and say, hey, we can play those bills. We can get those headlining slots. People want to hear our voices. We are important. Like that is the thing. And so maybe it's actually like the award ceremony focuses on the emerging artists and in order to give them some accolades that they can use in their bio so that they can have more doors open for them. Like it's really we want to be that lift, And last year, it was like a love fest. I can't even explain like everyone was in tears. It was so beautiful because we really felt, I think that everyone involved felt that connection to one another and that need to hold each other up and the thing is because there are so few slots available, there's this energy that's created sometimes that is almost like of a competitive nature. And we don't need that. We don't want that. We're not competing against each other. What we're competing against is the patriarchy. And
Yeah.
so if we kind of group together, we can honestly move mountains. I really do believe that. It's just we have to just keep keep fighting and fighting through art and fighting through love and fighting through music, you know?
I love
That,
it. The second question, which kind of turns out to be the last, how do we get tickets?
oh, well, tickets are available at tickettailor.com. It's called Our Music Festival. You can also follow us on socials, Our Music Festival TO, both on Instagram and Facebook, or head over to andrearamolo.com. All of the ticket links are there. And just as a little extra, our music festival has teamed up with Music Ontario and Art House in Toronto. And on Women's Day, we're actually offering a free event where Kinney Starr, one of our artists from this year, is speaking, as well as our last year's headliner, Tanika Charles, and Shoshona Kish of Digging Roots and Ishkade Records. And I am moderating that, and it's going to be a real deep sort of fireside chat journey through the lives, the sort of pathways, it's called pathways, of these three trailblazers and these women in our industry, obstacles they've overcome, and maybe sneak peeks on unreleased material that they're hoping to release in the next year. So those are all free. You just have to register, and it's all on the Our Music Festival TO Instagram or Facebook.
I got one more question. If anybody wants to donate to the cause, what do they do if they want to donate to help this event go happening, or maybe having not just happening one time of the year, maybe a couple times throughout the year? If they want to donate, what can they do?
You know what? Right now, because we are going to become a not-for-profit in the next year, because we want to be able to access those operating funds, because we can't do it. We can't do it without guests and music
Mhm.
lovers. We can't do it without support from the government, and they need to start seeing this as an essential thing, right? All of the things that we're doing to create new spaces for artists that are not getting heard as much, they need to be supportive. But you out there, what you can do is buy a ticket, even if you're not in town. Buy a ticket for a friend, buy a couple of tickets. We want to pack the house. These artists deserve a full audience. They deserve that feel, that energy. So if you want to support this year, I would say let's pack the house. Let's sell out 400 tickets, and then we will be able to continue growing with your support, of course. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time to speak with me. Congratulations on the second year. We're definitely going to talk next year, and we're going to talk the year after that and after that, because I know this event is going to grow because it's just way too much great talent out there. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Rudy. Thanks for having me. We'll see you.